Hi, everybody. I'm Reverend Therese Lee, and this is Unity Spiritual Center, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Thanks for being with us, whatever day, whatever time it is that you are with us. We are grateful to be sharing this moment in consciousness. I'd like to talk with us today about understanding the patterns we have in our life and how they show up to help us discern next steps, to discern to be spirit-led rather than ego-driven. Are you willing? Are you willing? So let's take a moment, center ourselves, move from our head to our heart space, and breathe. Exhale as well. So we breathe in and we exhale. Living, loving presence, thank you for this time together, for the internet that allows us to be one in consciousness, whatever day, whatever time it is, so we can be connected through the spirit, through the understanding of oneness in the world. And so it is. We pray this in the name and after the nature and under the authority of the living, loving presence that is you and that is me. And so we are. Amen. So what do you think about paying attention to the patterns in our lives? As you're joining us, I'm Reverend Therese Lee. This is Unity Spiritual Center, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Go ahead and put your name in the box, where you're from. If you have a prayer intention, a prayer request, if you would like to get our e-news, let us know and we will be back in touch with you. So I'm wondering, maybe not this week, but have you had a moment sometime when it seems like, I'm aggravated, or whatever I just heard is just so much to digest? It comes and goes, doesn't it? It depends on what's happening in our days. So I was on a Zoom call the other day with some of my colleagues and trying to understand, not that I can understand for you or you for me, but all the changes that are happening in the world, all of the shifts that are being created. And so I like to look at shifts as holy shifts, as Albert Einstein called them. Are you willing? Do you see the signals that, for me, my soul looks for to help in my discernment process of how it is I'm going to show up all that I've come here to be each and every day? Sometimes they're faint little signals. Sometimes it's a penny on the ground. Sometimes it's a bright sunlight. I'm not sure what it is that you are being awakened to each day. However, I do know that it's happening. Some people, myself included, have some struggles, some days more than others, right? And yet I'm wondering, do we focus on the how of it, or do we in fact let the details be up to God? To know in ourselves the willingness, the little willingness that you and I talk about, to be all we've come here to be. To see, instead of I could have had a V8, we've gone into prayer. We've gone into discernment. We've taken time to be apart from the busyness of a day. So there's this thought on interference patterns that show up in our life to, shake us up. And I'm wondering if that's what's happening in our lives today. So much going on, right? Kids are back to school. Grandbabies are back to school. Moms and dads who work at home are happy about that. We've got the upcoming, Labor Day, and then we start into the holiday seasons, right? And classes that I'm going to be starting to teach. Our first one's going to be world religions, unity and world religions. So let us know if you're interested in that. It'll be in person and on Zoom as well. So I'm wondering, I'm thinking about the analogy of driving a car, and you're on a busy highway, and there's lots of signs everywhere telling us how to do what we're supposed to do for which lane, which exit to get where we're going, right? And what we know, I just drove through the middle part of the country, and there's twists and turns and twists and turns, and I'm unfamiliar with that landscape. So I have to drive a little bit slower to pay better attention. Are you paying attention? Is Spirit calling you to a different level of consciousness? And I've got a story at the end that I think will help you tie it all together. So sometimes when we're traveling, I usually travel alone, but sometimes I might have someone in my car, and I find out that I'm very distracted when someone else is with me because I'm so used to being alone in my car. Then you throw grandchildren in, and whoo, you got a whole car full of lots going on, right? Some people have to stop to go. Some people want to eat. So it's this analogy of, are you oblivious to what's going on around you because of the chaos within the car? It's an analogy we can use for our lives. Do you take time in the morning to be centered, to be filled with heart space, to spend time apart, to get centered for what might be happening for the rest of the day? You might find yourself in this car, busy to go to an appointment, right? And I remember in Chicago driving, and I would be putting on my makeup as I was driving. Lord have mercy, right? Before cell phones, back before GPS. Amazing. So what happens then when this might have happened to you? You get to where you're going and you're like, how did I get here? So this call to being present, to honor the gift of this moment, that's what we're talking about today. Are you willing? Are you willing so that you can, in fact, get back to living fully, being present in each moment? We've got to let go those things that we aren't in control of. Anybody else have a control gift? Yeah. Used to being in charge, and so, of course, everything's our responsibility. But is it? But is it? No, it can't be. Byron Katie, love her, and she'll say, whose business are you in? Your business, their business, or God's business? We get to choose, don't we? We get to figure out where our focus will be. We get to see the signs as they're happening. We get to be mindful of the traffic lights in our life. We get to be comfortable with the congested highways we drive on, for the busyness that happens in our lives, so that we get to take a moment whenever we remember to get centered back to the truth of who we are, to allow the radiance of my soul to just shine out. How often do you do that? Take a moment to let your light shine, to be present to those right in front of you. It's a busy world. We get to do this for ourselves and for others in our lives. Do you make a decision when there's a person in your life that brings less energy to the situation, to the relationship than you do? I oftentimes think of that sound as that one of a vacuum, where it just kind of sucks all the energy out. It happens. So mindfully making decisions, maybe I'm going to say no to that lunch invitation. Maybe I'm going to say yes to taking better care of Therese. This is what we get to learn over and over and over. the gift of choices, the gift of saying no as a complete sentence. Each time we pull back from the busyness that can happen in our lives and we look at the patterns and how they're showing up, we can see those that maybe we've lost our true self in, maybe those we overfunctioned in, maybe those we needed to step up into. Each of us, a unique, unrepeatable expression of God. Radiance deep down inside that makes its way up and out of us through our eye contact, through our smile, when we do active listening, right? When we hold open a door for someone, maybe. You and I are always practicing the presence when we get ourselves centered enough to be in this now moment. There's a poem that a woman named Portia Nelson wrote, and she calls it an autobiography. It's pretty interesting. So let me read it to you. 5 short chapters. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever for me to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. And it again takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's habit. But this time, my eyes are wide open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Are you breathing with me? Chapter 5. I walk down another street. So I'm wondering, are you willing to step into accountability for choices you make, decisions that are discerned? Are you willing to be spirit-led rather than ego-driven? We get to decide in every moment. Are you willing? It's that little bit of willingness that allows us to be centered in this now moment. So let's take our outer eyes and close them. Breathe in and exhale. Breathe in and exhale. So let's use our breath as a tool to take us ever deeper within, where each of us meets the God of our own understanding, where each of us gets comfortable in the quiet. Allowing ourselves to take deep breaths in and exhale, to call forth the little willingness, the size as a mustard seed. Are you willing? Are you willing? We get to learn to pay attention to what choices work for us. We get to remember that we are radiant, unique, unrepeatable expressions of God. We get to give thanks in our time of quiet and in meditation for all the parts of our body that house this great spirit of each of us. And so we breathe. We breathe. We allow the allness of God to comfort us, to surround us, to enfold us. The comfort of the beloved. In, through, and as you and me. Patterns. Patterns that come and go. Patterns that identify the spirit-ledness of us or the ego-driven of us. And we breathe. Are you willing? Are you willing to sit with yourself enough times during the day to be aware of the patterns that happen inside, that sometimes are automatic? Do we allow for time to dismiss those and to embrace the truth of what Spirit is saying to us? Are you willing to notice the signals, to notice the signs, to be aware of the awesomeness around you that brings you back to center, that allows you to step into the power of you, expressing as you? And breathe. And exhale. Breathe in and exhale. Are you willing to not play small, to step into the power of you expressing, to be with other power-filled people, whatever it looks like? To be one, connected, in, through, and as each other. I want to read the poem one more time to you. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Week 3, chapter 3. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's habit. But this time my eyes are wide open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. The 4th chapter, I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Number 5, I walk down another street. Always options, always ways of us discerning what is ours to do, to discern what is ours to be in this moment. We go within and we remember this. So as we bring our attention back to this time and this place and these sacred and holy grounds that I call Unity Spiritual Center, Hilton Head Island, let's say our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God, and the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence. Wherever I am, God is, and because God is, all is well. Thanks for being with us, and as you're so moved to practice your generosity, we lovingly receive. Our P.O. Box is 1392, Bluffton, South Carolina, 29910. Our website is www.unityofhiltonhead.org. So grateful for your following us on Facebook, to go back to the website and hear another talk that's listed in archives. We're grateful for your presence on Sunday so that we can be eye to eye and share a moment. I am grateful. And so it is, and so we let it be. Reverend Therese signing off. Unity Spiritual Center, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Many blessings.